Family and Children's Service is a mental health social service agency. It's a 501c3 nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee. We are what is known as a safety net agency, so we catch people, hopefully.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Beth Raebeck Hall. She's the Director of Development and Community Relations at Family and Children's Service. Beth, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kelsey. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Beth, tell me a little bit about yourself.
About Beth the person. So I'm originally from New York. Grew up there until I went to college. I went to Vanderbilt University, which is here in Nashville. I've been a musician and a songwriter all my life, so I stayed here to be in the music business, met my husband here, and have been a writer. I've been a creator my entire life, but in addition to being a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter, I earn my living writing for national publications, local publications, video, all of the above. And about 10 years ago, I came to work for Family and Children's Service.
Wonderful background. Holy cow. So just awesome to be talking to you. But tell me a little bit more about Family and Children's Service.
Family and Children's Service is a mental health social service agency. It's a 501c3 nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee. We are what is known as a safety net agency. So we catch people, hopefully, so they don't slip through the cracks. We are celebrating our 80th birthday this year, and we have over 20 programs. We focus on people in crisis, people who need healthcare access and services, referrals, and in permanency, which would include the foster care system and child placement for special needs adoption. We've long been, like I said, a mental health counseling agency, and just this year we're in 36 metro Nashville public schools.
Wow, that's fantastic. So is it referral to be part of the services that Family and Children offer?
I'm sorry. When you mean referral, are you saying how do we get clients?
Yes.
Okay, so we do not accept insurance. Some mental health agencies have a model that they do, which then they're able, but what happens in that situation is they have to assign a diagnosis. And it goes permanently into the client insurance record. We do not charge for our services. So in the instance of children, I mentioned we're in 36 Nashville, Metro Nashville Public School, which is our public school system. So we're in 36 schools, and so we have family resource center directors there in the schools. Most of our counselors for all our programs are co-located in various parts of the city. For instance, we have bilingual counselors at Casa Athafran, which serves the Hispanic community here in Nashville. We have, if you are a victim of domestic violence and you decide to leave and take your children and go to the YWCA domestic violence shelter, you see our counselor. And there are numerous instances like that. We do also run the crisis line for the city, which is 24/7 days a week, where people call in for a variety of reasons. They're lonely, they're hurting, they're suicidal, they're afraid they're going to hurt someone. Just it runs the gamut. And our folks help them. And it's free. So many times those people who are calling will want to know if they could see a counselor here. And we do have on-site staff counselors who will see people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a few of the things that we do. But primarily, we're well known in the community for what we do. And for example, for the healthcare services, we assist seniors, people who they don't have insurance and they need to know where they can go to get their teeth fixed or whatever. That's a program called Health Assist. And we're also the resident agency for the Affordable Care Act. So we have nationally certified federal navigators that during the enrollment period, we're the agency of record from CMS that help people enroll in affordable health care at no charge.
Wow.
No charge for any of our services.
I can't imagine what the community would do without the services that you offer.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. As I said, we're celebrating our 80th year this year, and we actually started out as an adoption agency back after World War II when servicemen and women were returning from the war and obviously facing lots of disruptive conditions at home, reintegrating children, wives, divorce, and all of those sorts of things. So we are unique in that we do a lot of things. For example, we run a program called the Relative Caregiver Program, which is relatives who are raising other people's children, family members' children, who they may have abdicated parental rights, they might be incarcerated, they might be, have substance issues. We've just expanded that statewide. When I started 10 years ago, we had about 40 employees. Today, with our most recent TANF grant, we are a $20 million agency with close to 200 employees.
Wow. And you are the director of all of it.
No. I just do. I do.
Oh, director of development and community relations. You're right. I was going to say, holy cow, that's just, I can't even imagine with all of the things that you just mentioned on your plate. So talk to me kind of about your passions for music and songwriting.
Well, that is my true love. I started playing piano by ear when I was 3. I started writing songs in kindergarten. Had them published. Did my first had my first song published nationally in the 5th grade when I was recording a record at Radio City Music Hall. Went on through high school, wrote and produced a show. Came to Vanderbilt. I had no idea that Nashville was country music. I just liked the school and never even heard of the Grand Ole Opry. I grew up in New York, going to the Fillmore East and all the great rock and roll clubs. Stayed here, was signed to a professional publishing deal with Sony Tree. It was called Tree at the time. And just, I've been a performer my whole life and jingle producer. You name it. I've toured nationally. I've worked with some of the best artists and musicians in the world. I have 2 companies that educate. They're digital online education platforms that teach people how to be in the music industry and how to learn songwriting and the right way to go about it in a very streamlined, sensical, truthful way. Galaxy Songs is for the beginner or people who might be hobbyists. Teaches them sort of the basics and goes through all the fundamentals. And then Music Grow 411 is a step-up version of that gets more into the granular aspects of the music industry. It's a vast, vast industry with so many different components. And I've done it, for 40 years. So I've lived it, I've done it. And my Grammy nomination and all of the things that I've achieved, including co-founding the largest songwriting festival in the world called Timpan South. I was an indie before that was a term. I was, first it was DIY, do it yourself, or before that, it was like, who are you? And so I did this all without the benefit of a major record label or a publicist or, any of the other things that it takes to kind of achieve those milestones.
So talk to me about how you were able to build your brand without, like you said, a publicist or anything like that.
I've been doing content and public relations and strategic branding. I'm a consultant for music tech companies and small businesses. I've done that once again my entire life. During my tenure as a performing artist and touring artist and songwriter, I always wrote to make money. I always, I freelanced, I wrote video scripts, I wrote, I had a radio show on AAA station. I wrote for a Gannett paper, daily newspaper. So I've always had my hand in all those pies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was known and I was performing. So the name Beth Raebeck Hall was something that people knew about. And when I came out of a period of, I sort of went away from songwriting and performing out of necessity after 2008 and had to really dig in. When I came back, everything had gone digital, and I thought, well, what am I going to do with all this knowledge I have? And I thought to myself, I don't want to give it away anymore, but I want to help people. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always been a teacher and a mentor. So I started Music Row 411. Music Row is the iconic area of Nashville for songwriting, and 411 is information. And I just started it. I started an online company, and I thought, boy, there wasn't anybody for me. So maybe I can be that person for all the people that don't live in a major music city and tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them the no BS version of the music industry. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And if, we tell people, or, are you willing to spend 7 to 15 years of your life for a maybe? Because that's what you're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very realistic view too, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I really got tired, Kelsey, of seeing people of all ages coming to Nashville thinking, oh, just like people go to Hollywood, I'm going to make my fame and my fortune. I'm going to get a record deal, or I'm going to get on the radio. They have no idea. They've never done their homework. They don't understand how the business works.
Mm-hmm.
And they just flail around. And some of them don't need to be here in the first place. They're terrible. And another group of people are well-intentioned, but they get taken advantage of, by the sharks out there, or the people who want to prey upon people's insecurities and be told, oh, you're great, I'm going to get you this. That's gone on since time began, in just about every profession that's glamorous. So and I didn't want any more people moving to Nashville, where this place is on fire. It's exploding, and it's just kind of wild. But anyway, so that's how that evolved. And then Galaxy Songs came about as another opportunity. Somebody came to me and said, hey, would you do a step down version of what you're doing? I said, sure. And I speak a lot at conferences, at industry conferences, and, all of the above.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been around since before fire was invented. So.
Oh, stop. So talk to me a little bit about how, your experience building your own brand as a singer-songwriter has, made your way to family and children's services.
Well, as I said, building my own brand and being known in the community for 30 plus years as a pretty top-notch PR executive. I also, when I got out of college, I was director of public relations for a $2 billion bank. And,
what haven't you done, Beth?
made a lot of money. Nashville at one point was very small. It was a big, small town, and it was very easy to meet people, and everybody helped each other. And it was just a giant network and a very wonderful and friendly town. So I established my name and my reputation by, I'd like to think, the quality of work I did, but also I was very, and I always have been very involved in the community as a volunteer, as a board member. I was raised with a work ethic and a family ethic that, you need to those who are given much, much is expected. And so I've always given back. I've always wanted to be that person in the community to help. And learning all of these things, over the years, it all goes hand in hand. Now, when I got to Family and Children's Service 10 years ago, I'd been on a lot of boards as a board member, and I'd done a lot of volunteer work with nonprofit agencies. So I had a good idea of the scope of nonprofit, not particularly the nitty-gritty of this brand. And I took my skill set and applied it to Family and Children's Service. I'm also a connector. I love people. Some people say I collect people, but I really do. I find people fascinating, and I've been fortunate to know a lot of people. My husband and I have been in the community over 40 years. We've been very involved, had the opportunity to meet an awful lot of people. So that is a very key part of my job, is connecting influential people and business leaders, and taking our mission to connect people to hope, to happiness, and each other out into the community and attract interest from individuals and organizations and businesses. So it all kind of came together in a perfect storm, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. So, Beth, as we kind of start to wrap up this conversation, are there any misconceptions that, you wanted to kind of address about either the music industry or, about Family and Children's Service?
Well, I don't know that there are misconceptions about Family and Children's Service. A lot of people think we're the state and the Department of Human Services. That's the biggest misconception there. We are not. Now, as far as it's, to the music point and the music industry, whether you're a singer or a songwriter or a musician or a band, the misconception is that if you just get on social media and you can just upload things to Spotify or streaming service, you're going to get famous and you're going to make money. And that's, nothing could be farther from the truth. You have to learn the industry. You have to understand the business. You have to, just like in business, what problem are you solving for that consumer or that listener? And that takes knowing who you are, knowing what your voice is, what makes you different. Practice, practice, practice. Write. You should be writing every day. And that it takes an enormous amount of time to do anything well. It doesn't matter if you're in music, you're in real estate, you're in podcasting. Everything that is really good takes a lot of time, and you have to learn the basics and you have to refine them, and hard work. It's all about hard work and persistence. I could tell you so many stories about people, they're great marketers and they had some talent, but they kept their nose to the grindstone, and they learned the business, learned how to work it, learned how to connect to people. And then some of the most brilliant people ever didn't do those things and never hear from them again.
And I think you're to the point of success. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell that wrote the Gladwell that wrote The Outlier, saying that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. And I think that you could probably agree, if not more, to the point of all of the years that you've put in, in all of your experience.
Well, that's absolutely true, Kelsey. And the other thing about it is it's constantly changing. So it's not enough just to keep learning. You have to stay on top of the change.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of songwriters, what was in fashion 10 years ago or 5 years ago is not what they want today. So you have to be ahead of the curve. And, the music business or any creative pursuit, if you're an actor, a dancer, advertising artist, whatever, it's a stern mistress.
Yeah.
It wants you 24/7.
Yeah.
And you have to make some hard decisions.
Well, Beth, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate your insight into all of the different ventures that you've had, building communities both through music and through family and children's service. I appreciate you taking the time to be on Business Ninjas today.
Well, thank you so much, Kelsey. It's been an honor to spend this time with you, and I'm very grateful and happy to be a guest.
Yeah, it was great to have you.